Tim Gray. Welcome to Adulting with Emilia. I'm so glad to have you in my podcast. I think we have so much to learn from you, and I'm so glad to have you here and share all your wisdom with my audience.
Thanks for having me.
I want to get right into it. So let's start with your story. So what was the exact moment that your body was like, okay, we can't do it anymore. We need to change something. Can you tell us about the moment and what was going on and how bad was it for you to make such a big change?
Really, really good question. So I started running my first main company at 25 and I was all in. Build. There's nothing I wanted to do other than build this company. And I did that for 7 years. But I would consider working through the week and then getting drunk at the weekend. And the drunk on the Saturday night where I'd get absolutely wasted. That was me dealing with the week's stress. I did this for too many years and I didn't realize I was actually burning my body out because I just wasn't giving it the right food and stressing it on a Saturday night and then having the whole Sunday to recover, in bed with a headache or whatever. But I thought that was typically what you do. I just thought that was normal. This is what everyone does. So, fast forward that for 7 years or so, I started getting gut issues and needed antibiotics, and then kidney issues, and then brain fog. And then I wasn't as driven or as focused as I had been for years, and this is just operating like we all think we should, right? My body gave up. And there's a saying that I read recently on Instagram, which was, pick a time to relax or your body pick it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you're in your teens and early 20s, you can do anything you want to your body, keep on abusing it all the time until it gives up. And I realized, actually, I can't continue like this. I need to figure out what was going wrong. And I went from running the company to being in bed and having my mum drive me to the doctors, on a daily basis almost, because I was just so fatigued and so many things going wrong. And then antibiotics for too long, which means I wasn't getting nutrients from the really bad food that I was eating because I didn't know better. So it basically came to an end of absolute necessity of a gun to my head. It was some of I think the smarter people I meet these days know that will happen and optimize before it so it doesn't happen.
That's how many people get started. Also with my story, it was similar. You just get to the end point and then you feel like you need to change something. So how did you get to your knowledge, or where did your journey start, the curiosity? What was the first steps that you've made to start improving your health?
Well, this was back in 2012, 13 now. So it was a long time ago. And there wasn't Instagram influencers. There wasn't functional medicine doctors in the public. It was all the topics you couldn't talk about or no one really talked about. I just knew that the doctors were full of crap and they didn't know what was good for me. They just kept on saying there was nothing wrong, even though, I went from being extremely vibrant, very successful, full of energy to nothing. So I started researching on Reddit or forums and CureZone and all these other places just for any data I could. And because I'm very entrepreneurial and have always owned businesses, I've got that curiosity that will never give up. I imagine pretty much like you are in this, is like, actually, I've got to fix this and I've got to figure this out. And then that curiosity drives you to do better and better and better and better and better and better. So I just applied the entrepreneurial mindset to building my body instead as a business. And it was that deep curiosity of just researching. And then I realized I was learning stuff that no one else knew or no one else was talking about. I'm like, this is cool because now I can run circles around my doctor and teach them stuff. So it actually became quite funny. And then it became a challenge. So I think it's that deep need of curiosity to always wanting to be better and grow that I applied from business to myself, which made the difference. And I think that was quite rare back in those days. But now there's Instagram, it inspires us on a daily basis. If you choose for it to inspire us, we go, oh, this is possible. I could be doing this. And then that manifests or grow to be bigger and bigger and bigger until more people are doing it.
You're known as the biohacker. So, for someone who's only seen the word on Instagram and it feels so complicated and they still don't really understand what it is, like, can you explain us in a simple way for everyone to really understand what is biohacking?
Biohacking is a funky label for optimizing your health and performance. That's it. That can be, having a week off and being on the beach, or it can be using red light therapy or one of these supplements, but it's really optimizing your mind, your body, and your energy to be the best version of you and be healthy. And I think for people listening to this episode, learning from what your parents have gone through, because, the parents' generation, I guess my age and plus 10 years have been the sickest generation in history,
Wow.
and are on an average of 7 medications. So if you can learn from those and not go through that yourself, I think that's a key part of the journey. So biohacking is just avoiding what the parents and grandparents went through so that we don't get chronically sick. And then you can enjoy your life better. That's really all biohacking is at its essence.
A lot of my friends, I feel like when I try to be healthy and do better, they're like, okay, but my body doesn't react to it. I can drink Coca-Cola every weekend. I'm still fine. I can eat the pizza. Look, my skin is good. I don't get the breakouts. I listen to my body. Why would they care about this now if their body is fine now?
I would say, do they think they're smart? Because the smartest people I've ever met are the ones that optimize for the future. And that can be, for your health. It can be for your wealth. It can be for your love life. And it can be any of these things. And I think as I hit my early 40s, I realized that, I'm going to be, let's say 60 in 20 years time. It's a pretty scary thought when you think about it. It's like, well, actually, I need to be optimizing now for I've got a good life then. Well, in your 20s, you don't realize how important it is. And it's like it's almost it's ridiculous how when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I didn't think I needed to think about the future. And I even smoked for 10 years, which is crazy. For me now, I can't even be in the same room as someone that smokes. If you're smart, you're optimized for the future so it doesn't catch you out later. And if you're not smart, just carry on doing what you're doing. But I think you figured this out because you needed to.
Yeah, that's a good start when you have to be motivated. You just want to make a big change and you have to do it.
The other thing is I think we have something called change blindness in psychology. Okay, so for instance, if we didn't see each other for 20 years, we'd see each other and then we go, oh, wow, you've changed because it's 20 years. On a day-by-day basis, we don't change. And there's a 20% threshold. So if someone changes 20% or more or more, then we notice it. And it's the same with if our lives are just okay, there's nothing major over that 20% to make us go, holy crap, we've got to optimize because everything's just normal. And often it takes an absolute crash for us to go, okay, we need to do better. And it's the same with the pandemic. It's like it was 100% world changing. And everyone's like, actually, now we realize how bad it can get. We need to do something about our health, or we need to do something about the economy or whatever. It takes that absolute crash. And it for you, obviously, with your journey and the things you've implemented, if you'd been the same as every other kid and not had these problems, you might not have done anything about it. But because you hit rock bottom with it and you go, actually, I got to step up. The smart ones would do that in advance, the really smart ones. So yeah, we adapt and don't leave it until it's too late. Because for me, it took 10 years to get back to being healthy. And I'm better in my 40s than I was in my 30s. But it took me 10 years to get there. That's 10 years of my life dedicated to my health and energy that I could have enjoyed in other ways. And I'm grateful for the journey, don't get me wrong. But if I could have avoided that, I would have liked to have done.
Yeah. You mentioned smoking. Something that's really popular among my generation is vaping. So what would you tell to those kids who still like they know it's bad, but nothing is convincing enough for them to actually stop it?
Whenever I see a guy with a vape, I just think they look like a girl, a little girl. I'm just like, sorry, but it just doesn't look masculine. And like, it's an addiction, ultimately. I don't think it looks good. And, we all want to look good in some form. I don't think it looks good. And I think there's a social element of it, for sure. The long-term effects we don't know of vaping enough of. So, do you want to risk that? I think that's not the biggest motivator for people. I think one, you look like a little kid smoking a vape, typically, I would say. And I literally just roll my eyes when I see a guy doing
Yeah.
it, walking down the street, puffing out this stuff. But it's also an addiction, which is a weakness. But if it looks cool, kids are going to do it. That's the thing. And they don't think about the long term. And I think that's why this podcast is great, because it's helping people to go, actually, here's the stuff in the long term I should be thinking about that isn't important enough to me right now. And I'm having a snapshot of what these people that have gone through it are sharing. Vaping is one of those things. Do you want to get ill one day? No. Are you kicking the can down the road by doing these things? Yeah, you are. You don't know what's going to come up. So I think it's bad. And if there's one thing in my life I could change, it would be the smoking element, for sure. Because you look at around 1,000 different chemicals in every cigarette. And, cigarettes are bad. Vaping are equally as bad, but in a different way.
Yeah, even worse, I think, in some ways. You have the flavorings and all the things. And I agree, it looks horrible. I think it's like a pacifier for grown-ups. I call it like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Like a dummy, I would say. Yeah. Pacifier.
Talking about bad habits. So what are some things that are super normal for most of the people, things that we do in everyday lives, but that are actually killing us or really bad for us, that are normalized?
Pretty much everything on our day-to-day life is bad for us these days, and I'll explain. You have to pick your poison. Like, some people say, okay, well, you use hair gel. Is it toxic? Yeah, it's pretty bad, but I choose that one. Skincare is another one. There's so many hormone disrupting chemicals, which are really bad, especially for girls, because they use so many different products every day, and you put in these chemicals that most of them haven't been tested on humans, long-term studies or anything. And even the word fragrance can have up to 300 untested chemicals in it. 300. And we don't know what it does to humans. So we have to navigate the world the best we can. So if you're going to use perfume, pick the best one you can find. If it's skin cream, same. Pick the best one you can find without all these chemicals in it, or go as natural as you can. So I would say for girls, beauty care products are probably the worst one. But then you can look, tap water. For instance, I live in London. Tap water is pretty shocking. There's hormones, antibiotics, and pollutants, loads of things in tap water, in everywhere. And they say, oh, well, it's processed, it's clean, it's, whatnot. It's not. And we drink tap water all the time. So I would say you have to consider most things. And when you know better, do better.
So what should I do about the tap water? I let's say I live in London or Estonia. I don't know about the situation there, but how to do better or avoid it?
You can get a reverse osmosis filtration system, or a simple filter would do better than just drinking tap water. So it's a very simple fix. There's a system, reverse osmosis water filtration, which goes through 3 processes and takes all the pollutants out, which is the best. But again, anything is better than nothing. Plastic bottled water is even got loads of microplastics in it, which is hormone disrupting. So, as you're developing as a kid, from let's say 12 through 22, 23, you don't really want your hormones all over the place. I mean, it causes havoc on life, on energy, mental clarity, emotional health, psychological health, and also physical aspect. So you could use bottled water from glass bottles. Plastic is quite high in microplastics, which is I'm really not a fan of. But again, you have to pick your poison. It's like, are you going to be dehydrated and not drink? Or are you going to say, well, actually, there's a bottle of plastic water you're going to drink? So a simple filter at home is better than nothing.
What are some other things that the young person can do to, like, simple things that they can adapt after listening to this podcast to do better in everyday life, have more energy, and just be a better version of themselves?
I think it's more of a mindset than a thing. It's more, do I want to live my life to the fullest and be as healthy and vibrant as possible, and have great friendships, and not have those days where you're stuck in bed and sick, for instance? Or how can I enjoy my life the most? And some people say, well, actually vaping or drugs or whatever may be give you that in the short term, but there's a long-term negative. I think if your mindset is actually, this is my body, I have to look after it for the long term. What are the things that I should be doing to look after it so that I can enjoy my life more, would be the mindset. And it's like, just know that you have to do your best when it comes to looking after your body, because you only get one shot at it. And then just bear your health in mind with most things that you do. It doesn't mean that I don't let my hair down. For instance, yeah, I party from time to time. Yeah, I drink a few times a year. Sometimes other stuff I get up to. Or if I'm traveling and I want a chocolate croissant, then I'll have it. So what? Once in a while is fine, but it's when it becomes the habit. And you're like, every time you're like, actually, I know I shouldn't have done that. I know I shouldn't have done that. No, I shouldn't have done that. And it builds up. But from time to time, it's fine. So I think always bearing your health and your body in mind instead as the short-term pleasures with everything. Yes, I want that. Yes, I want that. Yes, I want to get drunk again tonight. 3 nights in a row. What it does to your body is just ridiculous. And you will pay for it at some point. And then you'll be 46 like me and you go, why didn't I listen to the people that told me? If I was smarter, I would have done, but I didn't.
You mentioned partying. You still party sometimes. So, what is the advice for young people who have like they party the whole weekend? They don't feel the same as before. Your motivation is down. Your energy levels are down, and you want to recover. So, what are some things that you could do to recover better and feel the same?
When you're in your early 20s, you don't really have to do a great deal to not feel too bad. But when you hit mid 20 to 30, it starts getting more difficult. You're like, oh my God, I'm hungover today. And it gets worse and worse and worse. I think if you are going to party, I mean, actually, I'm going to take it back a step. It's slightly different because when I was a teenager or early 20s, we would go out to bars and drink 3 nights a week because that's where you meet people. And it's either your friends, or if you're on the dating scene, you meet a date there. Whereas nowadays you have Instagram, you have dating apps, and social life is becoming more like sauna and, like days out or things like that, less and less alcohol consumption. I mean, it's like alcohol consumption's gone down massively. And I think while there's still an element of, yes, I can go out drinking, I want to go out drinking, it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. There are things you can do in prep, such as, the basic boring things that, people will probably listen to this, roll their eyes and saying, okay, I've got to drink more water. Well done. Well done, Tim. Thanks for the advice. But, how hydrated we are supports our detoxification a lot more. So if you are going to drink, make sure you drink loads of water and have some electrolytes before you go out. And then when you get home, instead of just going out, getting drunk on alcohol, jumping into bed and not supporting it at all. So there are things that you can do. There are also, enzymes you can buy these days which break down the byproduct of alcohol, which supports your liver when you're sleeping, so it doesn't hit you so hard. But I think the shift of, if your friends are healthy, you're going to be healthy. If your friends are smart, you're going to be smart. If your friends are drinking and smoking, you're going to be drinking and smoking. It's not what's in your fridge, it's who you're with when you shop and you eat that makes the difference. So I would pick your friends wisely, knowing that they will shape. There's a quote that I heard Chris Williamson say, I think it was like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I love that.
My listeners are mostly young people, and they see there's a lot of interesting like techniques and like the red light things and cool water bottles, but what is like the something simple that they can invest in to already make their health better? Maybe there's like a, I don't know, would you recommend them taking magnesium, or what is something that they can do to feel better and improve their health right away?
I would say, and again, this is a mindset thing, more than anything else you can ever do in your entire life for your health is this one thing.
Mhm.
If you realize that sleeping, and this isn't the most marketable, exciting thing in the world, but if you have the understanding that sleeping isn't something just that you have to do because you're tired, it's something that you do to reverse the damage you've done to your body during the day. If you remember that it's not a tick box of, oh, it's 1 o'clock, I have to sleep, and then you wake up at 6 o'clock feeling knackered. When you realize that sleep is fundamental to your longevity and your health and your brain, you look at it differently, completely differently. It took me nearly 7 years of wearing an Oura ring, I also wear other ones that I test, to realize actually I thrive when I sleep properly. For instance, I heard my colleague and friend JJ Virgin say recently, she said, you don't build muscles in the gym, you damage them in the gym. You build muscles when you sleep. And when you think about sleep like that, it says jumping into bed when you're exhausted every night at 1:30 after watching a TV series or whatever, and then waking up at 7 or 8 to go to work or whatever it is you do. And you're like, well, actually, I need to prioritize my sleep. And that will be the biggest thing that moves the needle in your entire life. It's like everything else becomes easier. Everything.
I need to prioritize sleep more, definitely. Especially when you're young and then you feel like, it's not that important. You have so much energy. You drink a coffee in the morning and it's fine. But how important is working out as a young person to build the muscles and the fundament to your health?
Massively. We know the people that move the most live the longest. Tennis players, for instance, tennis is the best sport for longevity because it's using your brain coordination and movement, many random movements. The people that move the least are the biggest, most obese, unhealthiest people on the planet. Some people push it too far and they do Ironman and too much exercise and stress their body too much, and it can go too far one way. Working out is really important. I didn't prioritize it until I was 40. And if I did it in my 20s, I think I would have been significantly different because you're detoxifying better and you're building your body better. I would say that 10,000 steps a day, this is a tick box thing, but I think it really is fantastic. It keeps me accountable from my work day. So I'll get out and I'll go out and do 3,000 or 4,000 steps, come back, do some more work and go back out again. But you can plot someone's life length with the amount of movement that they have versus a sedentary lifestyle, which is one of the biggest killers of all. So even if you're working out once or twice a week for half an hour and you're doing some steps throughout the day, you get the majority of the benefits, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I think it is so important for the mental health also. I feel so much better when I work out. I feel more alive. I feel more fresh. I sleep better. So I can completely agree.
Yeah. I mean, it's for mental health, for instance, I know many people, high performers, and, a lot of our speakers are very, very well known, great at their jobs. But I know many of them, if they're not in the gym, then are a lot more stressed and they can't cope with their day-to-day life so well. And I think there's something important about pushing your body and changing your day. So if you're stressed or anxious, get out and move. And that takes your mind away from everything else and gets your body moving, gets the blood pumping, and you feel better. Even taking your shoes off and sitting in the grass, for instance, which is grounding. People with anxiety and people with high cortisol, when you measure it in the body from before grounding to after grounding for 5 minutes, you see a significant change. And people with panic attacks or anxiety, after grounding for 5 minutes, their cortisol comes back down. So it's a stress reliever as well. So not only moving, but also grounding. And that's as simple as taking your shoes off and standing in the grass for 5 minutes. It's amazing. So that ties in with the movement. So if you're doing yoga in the park with a group of friends that are all healthy, imagine the significant compounding effect of all of those benefits together.
That's such a simple hack, and we have so many people with anxiety and depression, so you don't actually need a lot. You don't need those crazy machines and lights to do better for your health and make small changes. So that's really valuable and important, I think. Maybe go more back to the roots than look out for the crazy things.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about the fundamentals of health quite a lot in my content. It's not so sexy as saying, well, use this red light device here or inject a peptide or any of these things. But I mean, if you eat well, sleep well, hydrate well, sun well, ground well, move well, relate well, you're going to be 90% of the way there. It's really that basic. It's not as sexy saying, eat well, move well, relate well. But this is what we evolved with. And what we evolved with worked for millennia. And the last 100 years isn't working for us. So I think applying what our ancestors had the best we can, because obviously we're in cities and it's not easy to have grass and and we don't get much sunlight here in the UK. But keeping it really simple will get us 90% of the way, for sure, and it's easy. For instance, when we're in the sunlight, we produce more serotonin, which is one of our happy hormones, super powerful for brain chemistry. And when we look at African descent, people with darker skin in the northern hemisphere, men, have the highest rate of prostate cancer in the world, because our immune system also downregulates when we don't have enough sun. But it's not just immune, it's also mental health. And you know what it's like, you could be pretty depressed, it's the winter months, and then all of a sudden the sun comes out, and it's almost like Superman when he stands in the sunlight. It's like almost like, oh my God, this feels amazing. That's because it's upregulating all this neurochemistry like immediately. And yet people spend all day inside playing computer games, not getting any natural light at all.
Yeah, I can relate to that. The sun changes a lot. A lot of young people struggle with skin problems and acne, and it can be really also mentally stressful. I know from my own experience. Do you have any advice on where to start with the journey of fixing those problems, or is there anything they can do, or are you just born with that and you need to accept it that, yeah, my skin is not good, that's how I am?
Our skin is one of our biggest parts of our detoxification system, and what our body can't deal with often comes out through our skin. Often acne is hormone related, and if you're out drinking, if you're using all these different skin products that are hormone disrupting, if you're spraying perfume all over your body and on your clothes and you're breathing it in all day, it's going to affect your hormones, which will cause spots. And also the food that we eat. So for instance, are you gluten intolerant? Are you having dairy and, traditionally factory farm dairy, which is full of antibiotics and hormones that they pump into the cows so that they produce more milk and don't get sick? Well, then our liver goes, I can't detoxify these, so put it out through the skin. And for, the females listening to this, as we know, you have a monthly cycle, which goes like this. And when the liver gets stressed, spots come out. And that's around the time of all your hormones changing. Guys are generally on a daily basis, so you don't get the same fluctuations. Whereas for women, and a lot of girls seem to get it around their mouth or here, depending on where they are in the cycle. It's about supporting your liver. And if you're eating processed food and you're not eating healthy fats, and if you're having crappy traditional dairy, your liver's going to be going, holy shit, like, how do I detoxify all this stuff? So I would say the first thing is to cut out processed foods, stop vaping. And if you cut out the dairy, I think that's one of the main first steps for you to do, like to reverse this. But also pick good skincare products, because while that may help in the short term, it's not going to help in the long term. And it's almost like a plaster. You're like, well, actually, I've got this acne now. I need to cover it over with something or other. And then the skin products actually stress you even more. And then it never breaks. The thing that I would recommend most for anyone listening to this, and it's called digestive bitters. And they're Swedish digestive bitters, little drops you can have, which upregulates the liver and helps it detoxify better. And I carry them everywhere with me, actually, because it supports detoxification and supports your gut and gets rid of acne quite quickly.
I haven't even heard of those. Where could I get those?
Amazon, online. Yeah, just type in Swedish bitters. And it's an ancient thing used for hundreds of years, actually. And what the belief is that when we eat foods or prepare foods, our senses prepare our liver and digestive system to be able to digest those things. Problem is food these days have become so bland and manufactured that when we eat it, it doesn't upregulate our digestive process properly. These bitters, milk thistle, artichoke, and various other things, when it's on your tongue, your digestive system goes, we got to prepare to eat. So it upregulates all of the bile for digestion, which liver, gallbladder, then into the digestive system, and prepares the digestive system to digest properly, which means detoxify better as well. So I've been using them for absolutely years and years, like almost 10 years now.
I need to try it out, I think. What is the scariest thing that you see young people do for their health? For people my age watching, and they can't even think of it. Something that they don't notice. Like, we know about the perfumes, skincare, but our daily habits, our homes. Is there something that we should get rid of right away?
Well, for girls, it's hairspray.
Mm.
Like, really bad, really, really bad. There was a study done on hairdressers, and actually there was also one done for nail polish as well, which I think actually nail polish is probably the worst of the worst.
I just got rid of mine.
Yeah, it's so bad. There was a study done on nail parlor technicians and how they had the highest rate of problem with their children from when so basically child deformities, a very, very high number, which says that even if it eventually gets to the kid one day, when they do have a kid, what's it doing to the body in the short term? So I would say that that's probably the number one thing to avoid for girls, and then hairspray as well. And if you are using hairspray, fine, I get it. Hold your breath, spray your hair, walk out of the room, and then start breathing again, because breathing those in, it is so bad for us. And you just have to use ChatGPT to say, how bad is nail polish and how bad is hairspray for us? Those are probably the two most toxic things of all, to be honest.
Yeah, it's so good to know, because I feel like nails, even if you're not using a lot of makeup or you don't care about those things, nails is like something that all the girls do. And I just removed mine, like, I think 2 months ago. And because I was like trying to be really healthy and eating good and getting my nails done with like toxic polish every month. So I think it's such a good thing. And hairspray, I think we can find much better solutions. I think there are really natural one's already out, so it's good to look out for that, because people don't think about it. That's such an everyday thing that you do, and so don't. Yeah.
In fact, when people say to me, "Oh, Tim, your hair's always starred. What gel do you use?" Yeah, and I'm like, "Well, actually, I've developed one now." So yeah,
Oh my
so
God.
one of the cleanest hair gel that's ever been developed, and it's not been released yet. But yeah, I've been playing around with different formulas of it, and it works very well, and it's super clean. And the thing is, it's not just when you put it on in your, like for your hair. It's like when you wash your hands afterwards, you then put hot water on your hands, which opens up the pores in your skin, and then the chemicals from the hair gel get in your hands as well. So this is the thing for guys: hair gel, hair wax still has loads of chemicals in it, like really bad. So I'm looking forward to releasing the hair gel that I've been working on.
When is it being released?
Probably about 3 months' time from now. So
I'm excited. I want to try it. So, to take all this knowledge together, if you could speak to every 20-year-old in the world and tell them one thing to do for their health, what would you tell them?
pick your social circle carefully. If someone's full of drama or constantly dragging you down or constantly does the things that you don't want to do, move on. Because show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And as you know from the people that you hang around with, how of an amazing influence that you have that your friends or friends of friends don't have the luxury of having. You do. And you know how that affects your life in the positive. And I think it took me until I was nearly 40 to realize that the people around me shaped me more than I like to care to think. I was like, no, I'm not easily influenced. But then, going out for dinner with a group of speakers who are all healthy, and someone says, "Oh, do you want the bread?" No. Everyone's no. We reinforce each other. "Do you want wine?" And they're like, Shall we? No, we're good. Whereas if it had been with a group of people that were drinkers, then yeah, we probably would have all drunk. So I think pick your social circle carefully, because they will raise you up or pull you down.
Tim, thank you so much for coming. Actually, I came to you, to your beautiful apartment in London, but thank you so much for being in my podcast and sharing your wisdom with my listeners. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me on.